Oh, the song's done. Hey, everybody.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry about that. I realized that was the old video. I don't know why.
It's
I was
fine.
like,
It's fine.
Trina,
Yeah,
where's Eric? Where's Ron? Oh, well.
that's okay.
So previously we had moved over to Streamlabs, is it? And that's
Yeah,
a pile of hot
Streamlabs.
garbage. That's a pile of hot garbage. So we're back with
Yeah,
StreamYard.
yeah. It just seems. I mean, I'm sure it's great, and it's like
Yes.
anything that it'll get better as time goes on. But as it sits right now, it seems like it was causing you guys a lot of grief in terms of being able to like actually set things up and then go live with it and all of that. It just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Delegated access
Something
seemed really
crashed.
broken. It crashed again?
Yeah, it's okay. I'll look at it later.
That's a future Ron problem.
Yeah, that's future
Yeah.
Ron's problem.
So yeah, we're back using StreamYard for the time being. We'll probably
Yeah.
try Streamlabs again at a future date. But yeah, for
Yeah.
what we need, having multiple hosts, some who are here in some nights and some who are not, being able to
Yeah.
go live and being able to upload and share assets, if you will, inside the interface. It just didn't work for us. So
well, and it's tough though too if you can't delegate access to people, because it's like on Dave's stream on Sundays, there's been times where Dave's lost internet access,
right,
lost power, lost internet, and then like the stream just runs forever because you can't, unless you specifically just give somebody access to your full account with your credit card information and everything like that. It's tough.
Yeah. So hopefully they get that sorted out. I'm all for competition and having multiple options for everything. So I do look forward to a proper StreamYard competitor, and then you can kind of pit them against each other and get the best of all worlds. So yeah, anyway, that's why we're back. And last week, all of us were feeling a little tired and we need a little break. So it was nice. And now we're back this week, and there's only two of us. I don't know where Eric is.
I don't know.
I think a duck got him.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of people are out of town just because of coming back from the holiday, or people had plans today and are just wiped out. So
yeah, I get it.
If folks show up, that'll be great. If they don't show up, it's okay. We still care about them and want them to recharge and all that. So,
and again, Frank also is, has a young family and is probably Thanksgivinged out at this point, as I would imagine.
Yeah.
I suspect the Black Friday fighting that you guys all do, the Thunderdome of retail, if you will, is very
it's the
tiring.
biggest shopping day of the year. Is what they say. And I worked retail for years, and even in the 90s, it was nuts. I mean, it's way more nuts than now. But like the idea of like where it would just be in the old days, it was just the store would open and you just show up, and then you might have deals like after the thing. But it's like the big thing where it was like the circular would come out, and or the print ad. Circular might be like a really old word. I don't know.
What's that now, Sonny, with the newspaper? What's a newspaper?
yeah. So like the print ad would come out in the Sunday paper, or not the Sunday paper, but like maybe like the Thanksgiving Day paper.
Right.
And then you could look at and see like what all the deals were and kind of circle things and all that. Now that was like how it was even like up to the early 2000s. And then as online retailers got in this space, then it was like, oh, it's Cyber Monday. So you got your Black Friday things for retail, you Cyber Monday things for Monday. And then there's Eric. And then we're just talking about Black Friday.
Yeah.
But it's like you'd have the Cyber Monday of stuff. Well, now this year it seems, and in many previous years, it seems like a lot of that has kind of fallen by the wayside because people just go online and just buy it anyway. Like they'll put the like Best Buy and places like that used to just be like, no, you've got to be here. It's like 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. We got this deal on this TV and then this. And I think they've realized that it's just running people ragged, and nobody wants to do that because there's so much competition online because as people say, like, Best Buy is like the showroom for Amazon. So they'll just order it online and not put up with all the nonsense. They'll pay a little more to not have to be out there at 3 a.m. So
I only did that
Yeah,
once.
and then of course they'll often have like in-store specials. Oh, and what was it for? What did you get?
I was wondering if you could hear me or not.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. What was it that you got for
Probably
your?
a DVD player
Mm-hmm.
back in the
Okay.
90s.
Yeah. You got
Late
a
90s, early 2000s.
you got a one of those Sampo or Divx branded. I can't remember, or
Probably.
not Divx branded, but
Something
sorry
that
about
lasted 6 months.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was really cheap. It was like $199 or $179. You're like, oh my god, a DVD player
Oh,
for
it was probably
$179.
$60 or something
Mhm.
like that
Yeah.
back then.
After the rush. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember actually that's sort of funny. My dad retired from his first job in 2001, and he got it was a retirement slash a layoff, I guess, and he had a bit of severance, so he wanted to buy a new family computer. So I said, sure, let's go buy a new family computer. So I remember we were going through Future Shop at the time. We didn't have Best Buy, and he was saying, "Oh, we should probably pick up a DVD player. We don't own one." I was like, "Oh, that's a great idea." We were looking at the DVD players, and they were like, I don't know, $299, $249. We're like, it's awful expensive. Anyway, and then I remember looking, and for the same price, and you could get a graphics card with an S video out and a or a DVD player for an optical drive for your computer. So that's what we did. So I remember my first DVD player was actually in my Duron 733, I think it was. And I just had it was a GeForce MX4, I think, with S video and VGA, and then I just ran a really long S video cord from my computer out to the television, and then a headphone jack cord from the computer out to the television.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, that's how we watched DVDs.
Sure.
It's good times.
Yeah. Could have been worse. It could have been the era where you needed the decoder card.
Right. Thankfully, I guess that the computers were faster, I guess, and it was all built into the CD-ROM or DVD-ROM at that point, or in the graphics card, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was going to say it had enough
MPEG,
to
so it's probably the
decode
graphics. Yeah. Very good. But yeah, so Black Friday.
Did you buy anything? Did you not buy anything for Black Friday?
I didn't buy anything. No. Again, much like you said, everything was on sale already, and I Amazoned everything. So
yeah.
What about you, Eric? Did you get anything today?
No.
Oh,
no, I haven't really done all that much shopping yet.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, you can answer a question, Ron. Does Montgomery Ward have any good deals today on Black Friday on some Macintosh products?
Hold on, let me.
Can I get a performer?
Let me find out here real fast. I don't think so. I don't think that there's any good deals on performance.
But there is a blue plate special at the diner.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Because I famously used to work at Montgomery Ward.
But like you said, in the 90s, was there they do the print ad, but it wasn't Black Friday. Like Black Friday was a
no, it was. I think they even called it
even
Black
then they
Friday.
called it Black Friday.
Yeah, because it was So the whole thing was, and again, it would be like hour by hour deals all day, and it was the big day to work as a sales guy, because you could make if it was commission, you could make a bunch of money that day.
Yeah,
and
like I remember when I worked
the case anymore.
When I worked at Radio Shack in 2006, 2007, we didn't really have there was Christmas, like we got ready for Christmas, but there was no like Black Friday per se, and maybe it's just because of Canada we didn't really adopt it until more recent times.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was always deals to be had. It was never people fighting for $100 off television like again Thunderdome.
Yeah,
but I do.
It's really.
I have another
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it's just a lot of it has really changed, and I think online stuff has taken the wind out of it, and that's fine by me, because anything because a couple of years ago in the US, a bunch of retailers tried this where they were like Thanksgiving night. They opened like around 5 p.m., something like that, and tried to do some late night deals, and people largely there were people that showed up, of course,
course.
But there were more people that complained about it, and there was a lot of pushback in the media against that. And so retailers, I think, kind of figured out that it's like we need to cut the shit on that and not have
actually
it.
giving people Thanksgiving Day off was
Yeah.
more profitable in the long run.
Yeah, it's literally one day a year where
Mhm.
everything is mostly, well, it's like one of the 2 days a year where mostly everything's closed in the US, because everything is absolutely closed on Christmas and everything is absolutely closed on Thanksgiving. And it was trying to push back a little bit on the Thanksgiving thing. People were like, no, we don't need that.
Now, how does it work for New Year's for you guys? Is New Year's Day a
lot
holiday?
of things are closed, but not everything. I used to work at a self-service gas station when I was young.
Okay.
We were open every day.
Rain, snow, sleet.
But I will say that that's one of the things. It's like police, fire, ambulance, 365,
hospital,
and then gas stations,
7-Eleven,
like, absolutely have to be open for people.
But I feel like they've figured out a way to like slide in these, like you said, 7-Eleven, where those stores are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're almost like turning into supermarkets. But because they're attached to a gas pump, they can stay open.
Right.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of money to be made by that stuff inside. And another thing to point out about the U.S. is that because of the way that downtowns have crumbled in the last 50 years, there's a lot of spaces in towns, especially, that have what are essentially food deserts. There are no grocery stores.
Right.
There's nothing like that. The closest thing you can get is, a Wawa that has like, a couple gallons of milk for $6 a piece. I mean, you're going to pay like some aspirational kind of pricing on that stuff, but it's for the convenience of it. But you may not have other options. But a big thing that has gone into those places now is like hot food and like restaurant kind of stuff too. Because there's kind of this epidemic in the US where it's just like poorer people, like people, less affluent people, you end up with like, where it's just like, you just go into the gas station, grab a bag of chips. And so nutritionally, people are not doing so hot because they're not eating things. And so you've got like, weight issues, and you've got diabetes, and you've got all the stuff that we're kind of fighting as a nation. And, but now we've got, some of these options coming in, but that's why also in the US you see, especially in more rural areas, you'll see Family Dollar or Dollar General kind of popping up. Yeah. So that way that it's, and those, well, they used to just be like dollar stores, now are like, now they've got, produce, and they've got a dairy section, and they've got like refrigerated stuff and all that, because you just have to, because otherwise these people would have to drive 45 minutes to go to the next biggest town that actually has a supermarket, because it's dried up. All that stuff's dried up.
Now, I will say that your local gas station is the best place to get one of those wrinkled up hot dogs that have been on the rotating rotisserie thing for 3 days.
If you want a tube that tastes like a leather belt, it is the only place to go.
Yes.
If you ever wondered what Clint Eastwood's face tastes like, only place to experience that.
Now, there is a chain in the US, like, wow, everybody knows about Wawa and stuff like that, but it's like, there's a chain in the US that is called Quick Trip. It's kind of maybe a more Midwestern-y kind of thing. But Quick Trip, they have like that hot dog bar and stuff with condiments and things like that. And I remember times in my life where I was like, I didn't have like 2 dimes to rub together, but it was like you going to get the Quick Trip hot dog in those days for like 50 cents.
Right.
And it was like, I ate again, but they also had like free chili and like onions and like condiments and things like that you could put with it. So it becomes kind of more of a meal. And they could tell by looking at you if you were one of those people. And so they would be like, yeah, you can have all the chili you want. And so you're like ladling it into like a 16-ounce drink cup. Yeah. Right. So you can be like, hey, how much how much can I get? And it's still free.
Where's the line? Where's the line on the chili?
Get as much as you want, man. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's funny because we talked about it, and I assume it's probably the same in the United States, but the idea of the value menu doesn't really exist in Canada anymore for any fast food chain. Like, there is no cheap fast food. I'm sure it's probably different down south, but like McDonald's used to have the McValue pick or whatever it was called, and
they're
everything
actually
was like
bringing
$1,
it back.
$1.50. They just brought it back here in Canada, but everything's like $6.
Well, they're supposedly bringing back dollar items again, but it'll be 3 chicken nuggets for $1.
Yeah,
right.
It will be reduced.
Because like you said, Ron, for some people that was how they got their caloric intake. It was as terrible as it is, that is how they
just if people are just scraping and doing their best.
Yeah.
So, but I think that part of the reason with all that stuff and like the pushback on like dollar menus and all that is just because food pricing in the US has been, or especially like restaurant pricing, is artificially low compared to what it really costs to do that stuff, and has been for decades. And so the US food prices are artificially low, number one, and then number two, like, we don't pay anybody anything, so you can keep your labor costs low. And so a lot of that money just filters back to ownership, and then they expand, and it further dilutes like those markets, and so people are forced to work for less money and all that. So it just builds and builds and builds. But I think that like in the US, I mean Missouri, at least where I live, they just voted to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. So that'll just be passed on to customers. It's like tariffs or anything else. And so the price will start reflecting what it really cost for all that stuff. The food part of it is still going to always be artificially low unless the USDA and the government decides that they're going to do something to adjust those prices. But I think that they'd have a riot on their hands if they did.
Yeah. Because here it's like I said, it's a bit different. It's the price of everything, especially foodstuffs, especially where I live, is gone up drastically. But for the most part, taxes here on foodstuff is very low if it's staples, right? If it's like eggs and cheese and butter and flour and that kind of stuff. Now, if it's processed or if it's pre-packaged or pre-cooked, then you pay tax on that. But even the staples have gone absolutely through the roof.
Yeah, some of the, like Michigan, where I live, there is no sales tax on food. There is on prepared food, of course, but not on groceries.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not buying a hot sandwich at the deli at the store, you're not paying tax.
Yeah.
Right. But again, then you ask yourself, who are the people buying these foods that need to be pre-prepared? And oftentimes, not all the time, but they are the lesser fortunate people. So technically, it's a tax on the poor. So
everything in the U.S. is a tax on the poor. Sorry, that's how it goes. Not being political, just stating a fact.
It is the fact.
It's largely everything is kind of based on the idea that that it's punishment for people that lost a rigged game.
Right.
And I don't know how you fix that, but it probably is going to require some fundamental changes in the way people think. And I'm not sure how you fix that either. It's if you get people over the idea that it's a zero-sum game and that by giving people that need resources that you somehow lost something. Believe it or not, we live in a post-scarcity economy. The only thing that we need scarcity on is billionaires. So if we could work to that goal, then probably a lot of other things solve themselves.
We did our part.
Yeah.
So the rest is up to you. Like we can only send so many of them down on a sub at a time. It's a lot of work. Yeah, and a lot of paperwork.
It's what? If Logitech is just like pulling extra shifts on this these days. Oh my gosh. Oh, this poor people should know their limits, I think.
Apparently it's about 1.5 miles.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah. Well, we could really go down a rabbit hole with this topic. So
oh my gosh.
We could for sure.
Black Friday for sure. Do you want to hear what I bought?
Yeah.
You guys didn't buy anything. You guys are not doing your part.
Hey, Veronica.
We try to do our best to. Hey everybody. trying to do our best to support local businesses today. So there's a couple of like shops here in town that are they're chains, but they're local chains. So there might be like there's 3 locations. We have 3 locations in the entire world, kind of thing.
Right.
And so when I got an oil change, I got a tire rotation today.
Nice.
I went to there's a place in town that's like a like a small like pet store kind of thing, and bought some stuff for the dogs and all of that, and went, and there's kind of a very shishi upscale junk shop in town that is it's kind of like they're very full of themselves. Like it's a very Visit Rock City kind of experience when you go in there, because they have like I'm on my way to, and it's like their advertisements on everything and little funny stickers and all that. But it's I had never been there today, but I went there. I didn't spend any money, but the people I was with spent money. So we went out and tried to spend a little bit of money at local places because everybody
spurring that local economy.
Yeah, Amazon's going to do just fine. Maybe not after what's going on with Amazon currently between now and Monday, but prior to that, they're doing fine. So today we spent all of our money local and hope for the best.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything cool in the junk shop that caught your fancy? Like, did you see anything you're like, oh, that's pretty cool?
It's mostly like it was not for me. It was like going to an estate sale. It's like a very eclectic mix of different things. It's an old house. Each room has been redone, a bunch of different themes for like different things. And
was there a room full of dolls?
There was not a room full of dolls, thank God. But they have there's like the plant lady. She's got a room there that's got all kinds of neat stuff in it. And there's another room, and it's nothing but like kind of like branded like 1950s stuff, or it'll be like different, like, oh, it's Coca-Cola stuff and all this, and because a lot of people collect those things. And then more than that, clothing. So there's a lot of vintage clothing there. So people love that. You can go and get like an old suit or something like that, but more women's clothing items and all of that. So it's a neat place, but I'm not their target market. So I went and I had a good time and I looked around and stuff, and it was okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I did go someplace Wednesday locally. It's the place that I sometimes pick up auction materials from. They do estate sales, that kind of thing, but they also have a storefront with mostly furniture, kind of stuff. But my wife likes going through that. I went to their downstairs in the basement where in a corner they have electronics and stuff like that, because on their website I noticed a 520 PowerBook 520, and I'm oh, that's going to be gone. Went there, sure enough, it was gone. But in the person, you talk to the people there, and they're like, yeah, a laptop. Do you know what it looked like? Because it's not their thing. So that's
fun. And did you do you know how much it went for, or how much?
I have no idea. She didn't even know she had it because it wasn't there.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've got a few things in the mail this week.
That's how it goes. What'd you get?
So I've got actually came last week, but because we weren't on the show last week, I figured I'll show it this week. I got my very own Apple IIc.
Nice.
Which is in desperate need of a cleaning.
That happens.
Yeah. So it's really
a lot of those are used in schools, so it's got like a million years of like kid germs all over them.
Well, I'm as I work at a school, I'm impervious to kid germs. So apparently this was taken out of circulation on October 18th of 1997.
Neat.
Nice.
I don't remember how long they were. See, we didn't have them up here. Decommissioned, yeah. I don't remember how long we had. Like, we didn't really have Apple II stuff up here, but did it really run that late into the 90s?
I'm sure that it's sad. A lot of these schools mothballed stuff. Or to be fair, in the United States, a lot of teachers took their stuff. To be fair, a lot of teachers just took their stuff home when they were done because that was just how it was. Nobody really cared.
Yeah.
Well, now
it was going in the dumpster if they didn't.
Yeah,
So.
it was exactly that. They would just throw it in the trash. There was no
recycling,
no e-cycling at that time. So a lot of that stuff just ended up in teachers' spare room at home or something like that. And it's probably better instead of it being thrown away that it got continue to be used. But as people started to get, especially in the mid 90s, as people started to kind of pay more attention to that stuff, they were forced to store it. At least like state of Illinois and places like that where I've worked for schools, we had to store all that stuff. And then like once every couple of years, there'd be like a surplus sale where you'd go through and you'd have to sell it. And it's like, it didn't matter. It's pennies on the dollar. It wasn't the schools to give away or to throw away. It had to be offered up to taxpayers to buy for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. The states, our state of Michigan's got the same thing. Where all of the knives that have been confiscated in wherever, end up in bins, and you can buy a bin of, I don't know, switchblades.
Neat.
We have it here. We have the Crown assets, so Canadian government surplus auctions. But basically, they anytime an office, so like our Canadian Revenue Agency, which is like our IRS. They get new desks at a very specific interval, and every couple of years there's a massive auction of all these still good steel case desks. So I've picked up a bunch over the years. Anytime I needed them for office spaces or whatever, I'm like, oh, steel case, it's a great brand. Pick them up for $50 for a $2,000 desk, right?
The state of Missouri, we do that too. The like gov deals kind of thing where you can go out and you can buy things. But it's so nuts because they're 30-day auctions. So it's like, who is watching this forever to and there's not like updates. You've got to just know when it ends and you got to place your bid. And if you place a bid, I think it extends it like 24 hours. So some of the stuff could just go forever. So it finally just comes down to whoever dies first loses. And they win. Do they win? I think they win. But it's whoever dies or forgets. That's
I'm down the street from the place that actually does the auctioning for the state of Michigan, and theirs is like it's twice a year. And you have to know what the date is, but it's one day. You go in, you can get a chair for $1. Now, judging from the chairs that we have in one of our conference rooms, these chairs are probably on their very last leg, literally. Because we've got some that really should go in the bin, but they're still good enough, apparently.
See, at the Canadian surplus auction, what they do is you'll see these random like bins. And it'll be like broken chair parts.
Exactly.
And they'll auction it off for scrap.
Yeah.
I don't.
You see the guys walking around with magnets, checking to see if it's got iron in it.
To see if it's worth scrap or worth anything.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing with all the military boots here. All the military boots get thrown in one giant box, and then they just auction off like 1.5 tons of leather.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, who's buying this?
People that want to recycle stuff. I don't know. It seems like because there was a guy here in town, and this actually ties in with Frank, because Frank bought that computer that actually used to be on my campus. Like I probably used that computer at some point to reloaded it or help even take it out of commission or whatever. But it's because I remember exactly where those were on campus. but it's just sort of one of those things where people would come in and just buy up all of that stuff, and they would just hold lots of stuff because it only sold for $1 or $2. And so it would be like 10 EduQuest 50 or 55 machines. These are something that people want like $500 for these days. There'd be like a pallet of them that would sell for like $5 because they just wanted it gone. They didn't care. And there was a guy here in town, his last name was Lorberg, that absolutely, because I know where it came from. It came from Lorberg, because I followed up and did the legwork on it for Frank to figure out exactly how it came to be, because it still had an asset tag for the university. Granted, a 30-year-old asset tag, but it was bought by Lorberg Electronics here in town, so they must have bought it as part of that auction lot and then resold it at some point. When old man Lorberg kicked off, and then they had to do the exact same thing with all of his stuff.
And the same thing with, if you guys remember, a couple of years ago, I got the bus full of 386s. We went to that guy's house, and I got all the stuff that was in the cement truck. That was all covered in diesel oil. But then we also got 60, I think they were 386, 286s. So they're still back there. They're behind on my shelf. There's just a stack of them because I'll never go through 30 because we split them evenly. So I'll never go through 30 386s. So, but yeah, he would do the same thing. He went to auctions. He just bought all the computers that were at the auction for pennies on the dollar. Yeah. And then put them in a bus and forgot about them for 30 years.
Sounds right, too. Oh, it's like the guy with all those Naboo machines where it's just sat in a warehouse for 30 years.
Yeah. So it makes you think, like, what's still out there? And then on top of that, what's been lost? Like, how many warehouses have collapsed that had stuff in them that was, we would just drool over today?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right? I think about that a lot.
Yeah, there was a local place. I've just recently joined a local computer club, and I didn't catch wind of it, and I didn't find out the details, but it sounds like there was this like a miniature version of Reset, and the city finally became aware of it because the original owner sold it for $1 to somebody who was an employee who was trying to get it all straightened out, and they came in and said, "Oh, this place needs to be cleaned up. You don't have safe exits. You don't have that." They inspected it and threw a wrench at him, closed him, so he had no open office hours. Well, the community got together and said, "I'll bring a dumpster," and dropped off a dumpster. And they just went through, and I saw some of the stuff that went in the dumpster and went, I wish I'd showed up so I could pick some of that. But they had to make choices.
Yeah.
So there was one of the pictures I saw had like a giant stack of TI 99 4A manuals. How many of those do you really need, right? Yeah, exactly.
0 or fewer.
But they had boxes of floppies, just throwing them out. They, they saved a lot of stuff, but it was one of those situations where you looked in the thing, you couldn't walk down the aisles. It was that packed. And, they had shelves that went up too high and all sorts of. Yeah. So they made a concerted effort this week to get it cleaned up, and they're making progress.
We talked about how they got shut down temporarily, and that was the big fear, like during computer reset, like trying to get them all squared away, was that they would get shut down because, like, if you went in there, they were like, "Oh yeah, we did Adrian did a video, and I think LGR, or not Adrian, but LGR did a video, and some other people did videos and things like that." And they're like, "No more videos," because I guess they had people pointing out that it was like, you don't have ceiling tiles in some of these spaces and stuff, and fire marshal will come in and shut you guys down. So they went in, they put up ceiling tiles, but they're like, we don't know what else might be an issue. So it was during COVID, so they were like, respirators, things like that are all required, and you don't know what else is going on in here. Don't walk underneath anything. If you need help, don't climb on anything. So I think they kind of figured out that it's a little bit of self-preservation to like not do some of those things. But
yeah, for sure. But again, like you said, it's amazing what we know has been found and versus what potentially has been lost to time. I mean, think about the Naboo.
Yeah,
that was one warehouse fire or one eviction, throw it all in a dumpster, kind of away from never seeing the light of day.
Yeah.
So just
how many Apple Ones are still in basements?
Yeah,
true.
I promise more has been lost than will ever be found. That's just the nature of everything.
Yeah.
But
they wouldn't be valuable either if it wasn't for the fact that so many of them were thrown out in general on all computers. Like people talk about,
unless it's a PC Junior, in which case computer reset kind of crashed that. Thank goodness.
There's a brand new PC Junior under my desk, still in the box, hasn't been out.
Oh yeah. I actually, before computer reset was even a thing, or even on my radar, there was a teacher in St. Louis that had it was somebody who was a teacher in the 80s and was like one of those things where it's like everybody kept talking about computers are the future. So he bought a PC Junior and kind of learned a little bit about computers on that, and then very quickly realized that was maybe a dead end.
Yeah.
And so he just put it in a box. And so I eventually went and got it from him. I think I got it for like $100 or something, where it's like monitor and it's the machine and like a bunch of the add-ons and like both the infrared keyboard and the wired keyboard and mice and some cartridges and all that. And I turned around and I think gave it all to Britt Dodd. He's kind of friend of the community. And it's because he was like, oh, I've always wanted one of these, and I'm like, I've always wanted to get rid of one of these. So I bought it and I booted it up and I was like, that's neat. I'm done.
This chiclet keyboard is delicious.
Yeah. Played one round of King's Quest. It was like, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's not a great machine.
Yeah.
No, especially if it was like super base model. Like I think mine only has, I think it has 256 of RAM, maybe.
Yeah,
but I think they were default to 128, weren't they?
Yeah. I will say Texelec has a really great board sidecar, because the part of the problem is the power supplies on those things are really, really weak these days. So they were not great to begin with. They're even worse now. But there's a modern replacement for the power supply in it that just uses Pico ATX and all that. So but the great thing is he makes this sidecar that goes on the machine that replaces like 5 or 6 other sidecars, so it actually has like a parallel interface. It's got like serial, it's got a real-time clock, it's got the RAM expansion, and I think he even has maybe some sort of like mass storage or something. I don't remember, I've not looked at it in a while, but you could use a stock power supply with this thing, because you're not like having to drive like 5 or 6 sidecar add-ons to do all the stuff. But
why was like the thing that's available for the TI that does, has the interface, and you can do an SD card with it and all that. I forget the name of it, but
but it seems like IBM back in the day just loves stacking stuff. It's like the original, all the things that would go on the side of that, and then also the portable. I mean, geez, you can make it about 6 feet long if you put everything out the back of it.
I think they realize that it's like, we'll keep the cost down by just giving people the baseline of stuff, and then you just add stuff if that's your thing.
And that one power user is like, I'm going to have to knock out the wall to my office, and I'm going to have to be able to get all these attachments.
Yeah. Yasagi with his TI, 12-foot TI.
Yeah.
He's got
every expansion card, right?
And the modem and the everything.
Yeah. Good times. But yeah, I think that's all I got this week in the mail. I don't think there was anything else. No, I think that was everything. I got a copy of Hex and Lex last week as well, but I think I showed that already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did almost finish a project. I still have to rebuild the battery on it. But
I thought you were going to say Adventure was done. I was going to
no
slow clap.
No, I got this 486 laptop when I was at with this ergonomically correct mouse.
Oh yes, I have one of those as well. They're lovely.
At VCF, and I modded it so that it takes a CF IDE adapter and then mounted it to the front so you can actually change the hard drive.
Awesome.
I mean, it's
so does that doesn't have the limitation where it has to be a particular model of hard drive, right? Because my 386 Toshiba satellite, it can only be a certain model of hard drive. It will not accept any other hard drive.
The BIOS limitations.
Apparently, this one works with it, so I guess it didn't have that strict limitation.
Okay, perfect.
They only had 2 Seagate hard drives that they had available with it, but or were they Toshiba hard drives? I don't know. Toshiba have hard drives.
Toshiba.
Yeah, Toshiba
Well,
makes
they
drives.
did, but were they making them back then? But were
Yeah,
they making
absolutely.
them back then? Was the
Yeah, they
question.
made them forever.
They were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's got a PCM-CIA slot, but so
That's
I
kinda
could
cool.
have just used a hard drive in it, but this is a lot quieter,
Yeah.
you know. And
Absolutely. And hey, think of the battery savings.
yes,
Right.
yes. It's got a memory expansion slot too, right
Okay.
here. But
So what does it have for specs? It's a 486.
it's a 486 with 4 megabytes of RAM, so it's a little
Yeah.
limited.
Yeah.
They had a 10 megabyte card you could put here, but it's
Mm-hmm.
some weird proprietary card that just is
Yeah.
unobtainium. Nobody has
Right.
them.
Yeah.
You know, if they do, they're keeping them.
Right.
But I plan on doing some C programming on it, and 4 meg will be fine.
So we're going to see that in December?
Yes.
Excellent.
Thing to keep in mind on that is 386 days, things like that. Those BIOS on the machine, we're looking for like specific models of drive. You might be able to go in and manually edit like how many heads and all that type of stuff that you've got. But 486, there was a point where they just figured that out to like auto detect.
It auto detects.
Like talk to the drive, figure out how
Yeah.
many sectors and how many heads and how many blocks and
Yep. On this
you
one,
know.
it because all you can do is say whether there's a hard drive installed on
Right.
it, and then it has question marks for the size, so it must
Mhm.
figure that out on after it boots. But
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Shows
it
a little
works.
bit of that.
So
Cool.
I did have a little bit of a challenge using the external PCM-CIA CF card because it uses a DOS format that is FAT16B,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
Windows doesn't support anymore.
Yeah.
So I had to partition the 2 gigabyte card that I have as 31 megabytes to be able to transfer files.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of a weird time
yeah.
back in the old days.
Do you have a network card for it?
Rudy says you need to install Linux on it.
There is a version of Linux that'll run on it, but 4 meg is kind of tight for that. And no.
You just do Linux command prompt.
Although-
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I
Just
can
run VI.
I could
What else do you need?
install it on another SD or CF card and put it
Sure
in.
enough.
Maybe I will. No, I plan on doing.
So, Ron, what do you have for us?
Oh no, Eric, finish
that's
finish
okay.
what you were saying.
No, go
Well,
ahead. Sorry, Eric.
For
No, go ahead.
December, I plan on doing some DOS C programming, but I also want to do. I've got Windows 3.1 on it. I'm going to do Visual Basic 1.0 and see how crappy it is. So
wow, that's something else.
It's no HyperCard.
No, no, it's not.
Lordy.
That sounds great. I look forward to the videos. Are you going to do some live stream? Like,
I'll do a live stream for that because I'm just going to install it and say, "What the hell?" So
that's awesome.
So we're going to
And how's
experience
Adventure coming
together.
along? Is it progressing? Your game Adventure? Did you finish your manual?
It's going well. I've got 78 half pages of the manual done. That's almost draft mode. I have to write the probably twice as long manual for the editor. I'm still tweaking things because as I develop the demo game and the full game, I'm running into stuff where it's like, it really needs to do this. I need to tweak that. So I actually changed the data structure a little bit and enhanced what you can do with the player. So, but yeah, I'm on target to get the beta testing version ready for Marcintosh.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing it.
I got some stuff in the mail from Eric.
Hey.
Ooh, what's in the box?
So I think I talked about this elsewhere previously, but Eric sent me like a whole bunch of really neat stuff for PowerBook Duos. He sent me a charger there's no working batteries these days, but it's still just a neat thing to have. And this one specifically does a really cool thing. They're like, you see some little gold fingers there on the side. The Duo power brick, you can actually slide it on the side here because it had some other things, and it would drive this and charge batteries while you still powered the Duo. Or if you weren't doing that, it's got you can just plug your Duo power brick into it and charge charge batteries and stuff like that. But anyway, these little rapid chargers and stuff like that they're lost to history because people just threw them away when they got rid of their Duos. He also sent me, this is maybe like the most common dock that people would purchase. This is the floppy dock. It's got an interface on the side. For people that don't know, the PowerBook Duo is sort of like Apple's sub notebook line that they did for a while. There's it's thinner, it's smaller, and it's like, instead of like having like a big bulky PowerBook, you'd have like a real thin little machine. I say real thin little machine, is still probably like an inch and a half thick. But it was smaller than the PowerBook series. But the Duo, PowerBook Duo, this little dock here, it had an interface on the side for floppy drive and the HDI 20, and then a mouse. Because seriously, like, the Duos do not have any ports on them. It's got a modem, and that's really kind of it. And then probably the best thing is the PowerLake Presenter by E-Machines, not E-Machines, but E-Machines. So there's a company that E-Machines that made like a ton of video cards and stuff like that over the years for old Macintosh machines. And so there's the interface that plugs in the back of the Duo. You've probably seen something similar like that on all kinds of 386, 46 laptops. But this is really cool because this actually gives you, I think it's 8-bit color depending on the model. Gives you 8-bit color output. And it also has a composite video connection for hooking up to projectors. That was kind of the big deal with this, is making it to where it's like, oh wow, like you've got all kinds of output options and stuff like that for you hook it up to a VCR, do computer-based training, all kinds of things. So and it also has a floppy connection and then a mouse connection, and then that's where you plug the power brick in. So, but it's kind of cool. Sound out as well. That's another thing that's missing off the Duos.
You were like the baller business presenter guy if you showed up with your Duo and that.
Yes, if you showed up with that, people would be like, "Wow, you got everything you need to hook up to our to a television." Or whatever. Or
one of those gigantic
projection
like the three color projection
TVs.
But no, the ones that hung from they were projectors, but they were 3 separate lenses, and they they used to have them on airplanes. So only time I ever saw them in lecture halls at university when I was a little kid.
General Motors Tech Center, any large room would have one of those hanging from the ceiling.
I bet they were not cheap. I feel like they were quite expensive. Awesome. So, Ron, any plans for what you're going to do with that, or just put it on a shelf?
I'm going to hook it up to a Duo.
You're going to just make it go.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of Duos. I think I've got because they had a bunch of black and white ones. They had color ones. VCF Midwest, not this year, but last year. John Adar helped me pick up a PowerBook Duo 280C. That's the one I've always wanted. It's like a 68040. I think it's 33 megahertz, something like that. It's the best of the original.
This one is color?
It's color. They did release a PowerPC Duo, but those are like really expensive and rare, and they're really tough. And then not just that, but they're IDE. So they're kind of not great, and Duo memory upgrades are really, really expensive. I say that as I sit here and I have like a 4 megabyte PowerBook Duo RAM upgrade here just sitting on my desk. It's been sitting here for months. Just like total baller move. But no, they're just so expensive, and they're fragile, and so Cass says, hey, I have a PowerPC Duo and a mini dock. Quite cool. They're fun. They're the 2300, I think is the PowerPC model on that. So yeah. And I got a couple of Duo docks. I got a PowerBook 250. I got a bunch of stuff. I need to go through all of it. That's the problem. There's just not enough hours in the day.
I would like to see your collection laid out on a table, like all your power books, just not on, but just to see how many there are.
I think for VCF Midwest next year, I keep saying forever that I want to just do a table that's like an exhibit and not just like stuff that I'm trying to sell or whatever. I think next year I might do 2 tables and just have a table that's like my power book collection on display. Cool. Tech Knight actually just got my portable in the mail the other day, so he's going to take a look at it for me. If I can get that one up and running, that would be a really great one to actually have there that people could play around with it. So, but
awesome.
Cash, your dock is probably made by oh gosh, there all the big, like Radius made some stuff. Like there's a ton of companies that made those. There's a really nice one that is like, I can't remember the branding on it at the moment. My brain is all over the place, but it's like it has it no joke has like 24-bit video, which is crazy. It's got the floppy connection, it's got Ethernet, it's got SCSI, it's got serial ports on it, it's got ADB, it's got sound in and out, and I mean,
wait, there's more.
Yeah, I think they were like $1,200 or some nonsense when they were brand new.
Yeah,
I worked with a guy that was like his boss had one and didn't do anything with it, like just used it for the floppy interface. It's like, can we just get him the floppy dock? Come on.
Yeah, one of the same.
I often wonder that actually.
Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, go. No, I was going to say, I often wonder, how many things were purchased like that back in the day and were never used to their full potential.
Everything.
Just because.
A lot.
Yeah, the only people that could afford it were the execs that didn't know nothing. Go, Eric. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
It's the delay. It's killing me today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You should be saying over.
Yeah, over.
That same group of stuff that I got, the laser printers I've given up on, except for I still have the 300 because it's possible it might still work. I got to put the gear in, but the other two, I tried recapping one of the logic boards and it's like, forget it. Didn't go anywhere. Those are going to e-waste now. Thank you, Best Buy, for being so good about that. But in that same bunch of stuff was a couple of, I call it, they're kind of pseudo docks for the 1400 PowerBook, because it didn't have a docking connector, but you make a dock that would line up with all the ports on it and just dock it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a couple of those I want to play around with and see if I can, if they work. I mean, they're just pass-through probably, but
yeah. Cass has the super expensive newer Ultra dock. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. 16 SCE. The E stands for Ethernet. That's a good find. I have never found one in the wild. I've certainly taken the ad out of Macworld and laid it on my pillow and cried myself to sleep next to it.
The secret to try to wish it into existence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he placed it strategically inside the book magazine for his mom to find.
Yes.
Yes, Ron. I can only imagine you as a child were looking for business presentation.
Yeah. Actually, I love.
Why don't you want a football like the rest of the kids?
Yeah.
Mom, I want.
Right.
I need a Red Ryder rifle with a compass in the stock.
You're gonna shoot your eye out.
Yeah. You gotta join corporate America, kid.
Oh, what was that show with the actor that escapes me? Where he always wore a tie, and it was Family Ties, or I forget which.
Family Ties.
It was Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox.
He played the character.
Yep.
Yeah.
He would be the person that would have the
or like Moss
catalog.
Yes, he would definitely buy
would be.
But he would only, because he's such a corporate America guy and a Republican, he would only buy IBM. It would have to be IBM or bust.
Listen, nobody got fired for buying IBM.
It's true. Yeah. Except for that one guy who bought too many of them.
Oh, no.
And then bankrupt the company. Too many extra zeros on the end of his order form.
Yeah.
Cool. So, well, I guess we're kind of winding down. We're almost at the 1 hour mark. Does anybody have any last thoughts or things they want to talk about, or anybody streaming? Is there anybody
I want to talk about what happened in the last 2 weeks since we didn't get together. I want to talk about the Exodus. Do you want to talk about the Exodus?
What Exodus?
Moses
went
the Exodus from Birdsite to Blue Sky.
Oh yes, sorry, the mass Exodus. Yes. Sure.
Yeah.
Go for it.
The
X's, yes.
Otis.
Yeah. I can I make one little funny side note? I read a tweet. Actually, it might have been a Blue Sky. I don't know what they call them on Blue Sky yet. What do they call them? A chirp?
I think they just call them posts.
Posts? Okay. It was this woman who was saying she finally got rid of her Tesla. She could no longer support anything to do with Elon, and I get that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she was very proud. She went out and bought a Volkswagen electric, and someone posted, "You're going to be real upset when you find out who founded Volkswagen."
Right. It's you just trading one for another, there, lady. Oh my gosh.
I was like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Hey, Garth. I will say that it's been a long time coming, and actually probably kind of why I brought this up is I wanted to talk about some of the ways that people can kind of migrate away from some of those things. But I had yes, it is the people's car. I guess yeah. So a friend of mine the other day, comedian, posted on Blue Sky that he compared Blue Sky. He's like, Blue Sky now is sort of like peak Twitter, much in the same way that like a antique mall. It's kind of like antique mall versus flea market. It's kind of like the feel on things. And I made sure to offer it. This is maybe an apt comparison, but at least all the Nazi memorabilia is presented ironically.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so I certainly hope that people they're gonna do what they want to do, and if you want to stay over there, it's probably fine. But what I wanted to say is that there are a number of services, because that's what I did this week, is I investigated that there are services that you can basically pay a subscription fee, and all of them seem to be very much have changed their model just recently for some reason. To make it where it's only $8 a month, but you got to pay for a full year right up front. And so, but these websites these services will basically go through, and they'll have a free version. It might only delete a couple hundred tweets at a time, or might only unfollow or whatever you tell it to do. But if you were committed to kind of ending your presence over there in favor of Blue Sky or Threads or MySpace or whatever slightly less evil place you might want to end up, there are some good things out there that will absolutely do the job. But what I ended up finding is there is a thing. There's a group. They're called Uprise Rhode Island, where it's basically they kind of led the charge on people kind of getting off Twitter, weaning off Twitter and going elsewhere. But if you go to their website, they actually have a script for free that will go through, and it will just run inside your browser. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to do anything special. You download a file that basically has the scripting and everything. You can go through, you can look at all the code, you can evaluate what's going on there. So you're not handing access to like a third-party company or something like that then can turn around and potentially log into your account or something like that. I mean, I'm not saying anybody's engaging in that, but it is an imperfect world. So, but the Uprise Rhode Island people, they have a script that you can go through, you can evaluate, look at the code, and there's a few things you have to plug in from your actual Twitter instance, where it's like, here's your session ID information, things like that, and then the script runs inside your browser, and it basically what it does is it goes through, and if you've liked someone else's, yes, it goes through and does all the clicky click for you. It will scan like all of your posts and likes and retweets, and it will unlike, depending on what criteria you give it, it will unlike things, and it will go through and it will remove retweets, or it'll remove posts, and you can say, like, like only do it through this time range, like just in the last year or something like that. Or you could say do it from, like, I just said, like January 1st 1999 to present, and it went through, and it took a couple of hours, but it went through and deleted absolutely everything. And it keeps all, like, if you're following people and all that type of stuff, yeah, it'll keep that. You'll still have those people on your thing. So if you've followed people in kind, that will all still be there. But you can, especially with what's happened recently, where they said that if you did not opt out by such and such a date, that they were going to go ahead and start training Grok, their AI thing, against your posts and all of that. If you have an ideological problem with that, you can certainly you can go into their website and you can say, like, don't include my data in that. But can you really trust that? I don't know. So for me personally, the choice was to just delete everything. So I went through and deleted everything. And then it was released after, kind of in the wake of more and more people doing that. And it seems like engagement over there has been really, really tough. Yeah, that's probably good, Rudy. International postage being what it is. But in the last week,
are they on strike?
Yeah, they are in Canada.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Rudy's had a very quiet month.
Yeah, but the whole thing with where it was revealed the other day that Twitter specifically downgrades
Links.
posts if it includes a link.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. It's, I don't know. Did World War IV? I don't know. It seems like AI to me. or Tomcat. Ah, damn it, Tomcat. But it's basically that they were like, oh yeah, CEO comes out and says, or owner comes out and says, not CEO, owner comes out and says, yeah, we specifically downgrade any post that includes a link in the title to try to get away from lazy linking. And it's like, I mean,
they want your content on their
yeah,
site.
they just want your content on their site so that they own it. Because that's something else that happened, where as part of the Onion acquiring a certain major conspiracy website's intellectual information,
yeah,
part of that was that they had to turn over their social media accounts, and there was in kind of a I don't know, whatever, like a lawsuit in support, whatever the Latin is for that, that basically said that Twitter owns those accounts. You don't own the account. So it couldn't be transferred legally from this conspiracy website to the Onion because they didn't own it. And so if that's the case, that seems like the last...
You don't own your stuff?
I know. That seems like the last nail in the coffin for especially people that are content creators, or people that, have a vested interest that then in the past have been able to use Twitter to build community or make a living or whatever that might be.
Question, not a lawyer. So don't they claim common carrier status so that they're not liable for the content? And that the user actually owns their content? It sounds like they're trying
to
eat
using logic.
And have it too.
Yeah, no, it's cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they'll claim whatever it is to their advantage.
Yes.
So, but as it sits right now, they made it very clear that they're going to train against your data if you stay and don't opt out. But I don't necessarily trust them to do that. I'm not saying that that there's Nobel Prize content out there,
right?
but at the same time, they're my brain droppings, not your brain droppings. So I would like to keep ownership of that.
That also brings up another point, and
Leo,
I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but just because you're deleting your content, is it truly being deleted, or do they have archives of it that they can use to train?
Backups.
I promise they have backups of it, but it's no longer publicly accessible for other people to see. So it's basically I have one post out there, and it's just a tombstone that it's, hey, as easily as we spoke here, we can speak in these other places too.
Thought it was going to say, here lies pepperoni.
Pepperoni and cheese.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, no, but and people have started to do a little bit more independent research on this and show that it's like, especially like people with large followings, that it was like, here's the engagement on both sides, where it's like, I have an article, and I even shared a link in the sub post or whatever, the sub tweet.
Yeah.
And then that this is how it performed on Twitter versus how it performed on Blue Sky. And real engagement on Blue Sky is through the roof comparatively. So Twitter will show like thousands of views on whatever that is, but the turnover on engagement is like single digit percentage. And even the post that Apartheid Baby posted about the whole thing with like how there's like that we're downgrading lazy linking and stuff like that, had like millions of views, but as a percentage of people liking, retweeting, commenting, things like that, the engagement was like less than 1%. It's like, you've got it set up where everybody sees your stuff, and the turnover on that is so low. So my whole thing of bringing this up was, if you're not currently on Blue Sky, my advice to you would be to think seriously about, if nothing else, going over there, creating an account, so that way that you've at least staked out your stuff and check it out. Because I've actually been playing around on it for the past week or two. I had an account long before that, but it was really tough to get traction because a lot of people were clinging on to what they knew. And I think as people decided that they were like, yeah, we're going to give this other thing a try, a lot of your friends from Birdsight are now on Blue Sky and would love to see you there. And many thanks again to One Bit Fever Dreams for creating that sort of retro friends like group of like
starter pack,
where you could very easily follow people. And I think that helped a lot of people get a jump start on community there. I cannot thank the trans community enough, can't thank furries enough, can't thank marginalized communities that had already moved over to Blue Sky for absolutely being the pioneers. They got all the arrows, and now people are coming in to kind of sell the land. But it's if these other like very, very brave communities did not put in the effort to kind of make things nice and make it a place that's like very much like, we're not going to put up with people that want to come in here and mess up community, and people that want to come in here and just wipe their muddy feet on the rug, it would not be a place that people could kind of escape to.
For sure.
And I know that there's been some talk where it's sort of like, oh, well, now you've made this new silo. It's not really a silo. It's just, it's a more respectful place, because there's people out there that I follow that opinions I don't necessarily agree with. But it's okay, because guess what? It's presented in a way that is, it's like, we're not questioning other people's humanity. We're just disagreeing about, like, is it ketchup
Hawaiian peaches
or catsup? It's like,
ketchup?
There might be a lively disagreement, but by gosh, it's not like we're not questioning like the reality of the universe in which we live in.
You shouldn't exist kind of arguments.
Yeah. I don't.
Or
no
whether
one needs to
people are
hear
not
that.
should be used. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right.
Well, my favorite thing
packs.
was I found out. Oh, I was going to say I was very excited to see that John DeLance came to Blue Sky.
Yeah.
It was like Q was on Blue Sky. This is awesome.
A lot of kind of folks like LeVar Burton showed up the other day.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
Mark Hamill showed up, and guess what? They turned their audiences right over. It was like I think a lot of people were just like, well, if I leave here, I've got so much invested. It took 15 years to build this out, and people have very quickly realized that it's like you just go over to the other place and it just like you can rebuild it, because there's tools out there too that will look at your Twitter follows and stuff and will like help identify and find those people on Blue Sky, so you can very easily go back through and refollow. Keep in mind you have to double check all that stuff to make sure that they're the real person and all that, or it's a situation where people went a very long time ago and made a Blue Sky account, didn't follow up on it, and then now with everything that's going on, they've gone back out there and recreated or created new accounts. You might have to do a little bit of legwork to kind of make sure that you're following the right folks and all that, but your friends are over there. It's there's never been a safer time to stick your toe in the water and just check it out.
Yeah, it's been the starter packs have been very helpful for me. I've been able to find adventure, specifically adventure game developers or small indie developers and things like that. You still find a fair number of bots and things like that where it's like, oh, you're just trying to market to me. Okay, I'm not going to follow you. Kind of thing. But for the most part, I'd say 98% of it's been good. The other thing I think is important is that there are a lot of people on Mastodon as well, and I'm staying on both. I can.
I will too.
I can manage 2 social accounts. 3 is a bit much, but it works for me.
Yeah. I tried Threads and things like that. I think that there's some other efforts that have been out there, but they've artificially inflated the numbers of people that have done that, because I think Threads was really good for people that already had like a good Instagram following, so they could basically just kind of import that over to Threads and then start doing things. So I played around with that and I really couldn't get a lot of traction there. Instagram's a tough nut to crack. It's I don't know necessarily that it's for our content. It might be, but maybe not the way that I necessarily present it. I know that there's other people in the community that had really good success out there, but I'm fairly certain it's because they've already built that audience elsewhere, and they kind of followed them over there.
Twitch, there's an audience there for that. Veronica makes a good point, and I looked into this too, and I just haven't taken the time to use the brain cells to do it, but there is a way to verify yourself if you own a domain. Account. So it's not a blue check. You're not paying for it, but it is a way that if you're putting yourself out there and you've got branded content and stuff, and you want to make sure that it's trustworthy, you can do that.
It's nice. You can self-verify. Didn't cost you $8 a month either.
Nope.
So I know people have some very strong opinions about this. I like being honest with people.
I like it. It seems like a nice place. It reminds me of like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Just everybody seems very welcoming and happy, and I'm sure at some point there will be bots, like you said. I think I've got a couple of follows today that were bots, but I get those constantly on Twitter as it is now. Right. So
I need to ask Veronica about something that she's mentioned. Because I'm a supporter of her. I've been on, her, I forget what she calls it, her awesome people or something like that. But she mentioned something called Matrix, and I don't know if that's a peer-to-peer networking kind of thing or what.
You have to.
I think it's a red pill, blue pill.
Yeah, red or
right.
Or
either
blue.
Right. Either take the estrogen or whatever the studio metaphor the studio let us use at the time.
But it kind of ties into what Rudy's saying was, BBS is where this, very organic network of, of people. And, maybe we need to have that kind of a network again, where it's all peer to peer. You don't have to be beholden to something. I guess the Fediverse is that way with Mastodon, but again, there needs to be a way to do things where you don't have to stand up a server and self-hosted Discord alternative, kind of. Okay, there you go.
I like it. This is a great elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, get this.
Okay, you're on Dragon's Den, or Shark Tank, as you guys call it.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to have choices. Is really what it amounts to me. Is that there ought to be choices.
Yeah. I think that's part of it, is that people didn't think that they really had a choice until recently. And I think that a lot of people kind of like a lot of the things that were announced recently kind of forced their hand and made people have to kind of realize that it's possible that the guy who overpaid for a website so he could read his ex-girlfriend's DMs might not have your best interests in mind. And if you can build community, if you can build community elsewhere and stuff, absolutely you should do that. And a lot of that lives in places like forums and BBSs and stuff like that, and Discord and Slack and all of these things where people have been able to find like-minded people and have pleasant conversations and build friendships and all of that. IRC even. Because that's where it started for me, is like you go out on Usenet and like IRC and would chat with people in real time and like-minded people, especially in Mystery Science Theater community. That's how people made it happen in the old days.
Well, that kind of brings us all sort of back, completion by return, because at the beginning of this hour we discussed the differences between StreamYard and Streamlabs, and I talked about how I enjoy competition, and competition breeds creativity and breeds options, and I think we have that now with social media. I mean, there's so many options, some good, some bad, but I think that's
it's probably good. As the CEO of Blue Sky said the other day, it's probably good to have some paraphrasing, of course. It's probably good to have some options out there that are billionaire proof.
Right.
There's nothing to buy
unless it's a submarine.
Right. Those poor billionaires.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Too soon?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
It's been a year.
Honestly, it's a sealed tube. It could have just been a motion control ride, and no one would have died.
No one would have known.
And let's be honest, James Cameron definitely has some very high definition footage of it, so it could have been very real and very. Actually, you didn't even leave your house. It could have just been a VR.
Yeah. Just go on YouTube and watch one of those deep sea videos. Actually, I'll tell you right now, it's like if you're not squeamish about the beauty of nature, you should go to YouTube and you should Google, or you should search for the term whale fall. Whale like the animal, and fall like who put this ladder in the way? Because it's just like, that's bottom of the ocean, like just little ecosystems that pop up for just like a little blip of time and sustain like these whole communities of people. It's so crazy.
Cool.
So the fail whale over there at Twitter has created this whale fall that is now sustaining all these other people. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
For sure.
The other thing I'd like to see a revival in, BBS like things too, is personal websites.
Oh, yes.
You know, back in the day we had, what were some of the really crazy places you could put up, blink text stuff.
Tripod, GeoCities.
Yeah.
Right.
But if that's your thing, there's tools out there to create that kind of stuff. But I went back and have been teaching myself or relearning how to do web development again. Very light static stuff. I don't need to get crazy, but it's interesting. I think people should be doing that kind of content. Make the web searchable again.
Yeah, for sure. And the AI is degrading the the search
Mhm.
pretty quickly.
Yep.
I've noticed that it's Google has been getting progressively more terrible.
I just it all went downhill after they killed image search.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, just in terms of online discourse, because it used to be that you could use image search to, like, or Tenai, or there's other reverse image search,
yeah.
for people like fact checking,
Yep.
and like, where did this come from? And that stuff's gone now.
Yeah,
it's very sad.
Indeed, I agree. Well, gentlemen, it's been an hour and 20 minutes.
Sorry to keep everybody long.
9 people watching. We know you have your choice in Friday evening entertainment. So thankful you're not watching Family Matters over on the other channel.
This is a special one. This is the special one where Laura decides that she does not care for Steve Urkel.
Right. And only likes his alter ego. And then, anyway, there's a lot of bad things about that show when you look back on it, and I don't like to dwell on it.
The past is a problematic place. It's just how it is. All my mistakes are there.
Before we finish up, Eric, are you streaming tomorrow?
Yes. Don't ask me what I'm streaming tomorrow, but I will be streaming.
Okay. And Ron, any upcoming things for you?
You know what? I keep talking to my friend Alan here in town about making a funny little video, and ran out of time last weekend. Might have time this weekend. Might have to give him a yell and do that real fast.
Awesome. I'm going to attempt to live stream on Dave's. I have some work on the roof of my house this Sunday that I need to do. So maybe I'll try to live stream from the roof and see how that goes. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you everybody for being here. We appreciate your time. And as always, what pearl of wisdom, Ron, are we going to give today?
Oh, I would just say, as you make it through the weekend, remember that, especially the last few days have been really, really tough on retail employees. Everybody's just doing their best, and especially people in food service and places like that, because there's more people out doing stuff, especially over the next month now. Just be kind to people. Try to remember that that other people are people. So
cool. Well, everybody have a fantastic evening, and we will see you back here next week. Same bat channel, same bat time.